recorded on this computer. Great. So here's what we're going to do. So we've got ourselves a rabbit here, and I went over yesterday how basically what we want to do is that if we see the rabbit, where I wanted you to try to be at the end of Monday's lecture was if you see the rabbit, move out of the way. So if you see the fox, run away from the fox. Okay. So right now what I've got is I've replaced the random movement with just staying still. So the rabbit doesn't do anything. It's a good default option. It makes the fox have to do all the work. So I'm going to run the grader, and it survived 3 times out of 300, 1%, which gives us a grade of 10. Remember, it's a square root curve, meaning it's the square root of your grade of the survival rate multiplied by 10. Now, before I get started in showing you how to do this, I want to just mention some administrative notes. I have updated the syllabus with the schedule. I sent out an announcement. Did any of you get the announcement by email, or is that still not working? I did send an email to all of you, though.
Yeah, on my phone, I have the Canvas app, and I was able to get the announcements.
But it didn't give you an email, did it? It didn't send you an email from Canvas, did it?
No.
That is interesting. I'll have to test it in my other class to see if that's a Canvas-wide thing or just specific for you guys, because it works for my other classes. I get email, and it works for here because when I post an announcement, I get an email. So I'm not sure what's up with that. I might have to contact whoever's in charge of IT at TUJ. I don't know. Regardless, the schedule because TUJ requires me to be a bit more organized with what's going to happen. I have posted what is going to happen, and your due dates for all the assignments are currently up. Feel free to work ahead if you so choose. Okay. Also, the exam dates have been posted, except for the final. I can't find it. I don't know when the final exam is. I just know what the range is. So if you do happen to, I tried to find the URL for it. It didn't seem like there was a URL for summer 2021 yet. So if you happen to know when that is, let me know. But otherwise, I'll burn that bridge when we get there. But both your exam dates have been posted. Please, you will be provided with a practice exam for both. The first one is considered to be more difficult than the second. If there's a conflict for some reason, please let me know as soon as possible, and we will resolve this conflict however we need to. Okay? I don't want you missing the exam because, period. So long as you let me know that you're going to miss it, it'll be fine. Don't really care what the reason is. Okay? But let me know if you need to miss it. Okay? Otherwise, the exam, the proctoring process is not so much me proctoring because it's a bit hard since I am an amorphous face on your computer screen, right? And I'm a firm believer in the ingenuity of students, which is that if they wanted to try to get around any kind of controls I put on, such as no notes, well, they just have the water bottle on their desk and they print out a label around the water bottle, and now they have notes. Some people will do anything. So anyway, the entire point of proctoring, and you'll see that the exams are open book, open note, and all that stuff. The entire point of proctoring is so that I'm there for you to ask questions and to clarify things about the exams. That's the main purpose of me being there with you for the exams. So we'll go into that in more detail when we get closer. So what about over here? So our rabbit doesn't really do anything. So let's do what we wanted to do with the rabbit, which is we want him to look around for the fox. If he sees the fox, run away from the fox. This is not a prolonged survival strategy, but it gets us all the fundamentals of what we need. So I love this feature, by the way, in IntelliJ, and it also works in NetBeans if you happen to use it. And it's part of the reason I think probably NetBeans did it first. I don't know, but for and I hit the tab key or the enter key to do this. and it created a for loop for me. And now if I wanted to change the variable name, it will change them all at once and kind of automatically do that. So I will just call it I, though, and then it just leaves me to fill out I is less than, because this is the most common form of a for loop. So we can automatically do that. So I'm just going to put in model.max direction, but I need to be inclusive. So it's going to be less than or equal to max direction, right? Because it needs to go all the way from model.min direction to model.max direction. And even though model.min direction is 0, I'm still going to be specific and put, and just remind myself what I'm doing here. I'm going to change the view of this to be enter distraction-free mode. By the way, I'm on my desktop today because it's nice and cool. So enter distraction-free mode. Okay, so nice and it's nice and fairly minimalistic now. It's great. So we've got ourselves model.min direction less than or equal to model.max direction. And now what we can say is, hey, if this dot look I, so this object, this animal, this rabbit, that's what this means. However, we don't need to include it. I just feel better about using that. Look I. So if we look in direction I, and we see a fox, model.fox, that means there's a fox in that direction. Make sense to everybody? This is pretty much the reverse of this is pretty much the inverse of the loop and decide move for the fox, right? Whereas instead of looking in for a rabbit, I'm looking for a fox. Okay. However, like once you did this in the decide move loop for the rabbit, for the fox, you were all like, okay, found the fox. Now, found the rabbit. I'm going to go and set a bunch of variables, but we're prey. We don't need to work so hard. Let's go ahead and instead just react. So I will just return I saw the fox and I know what I want to do. I want to just run away because I'm a scared, foolish little rabbit. So I'm going to return, and I need to get the direction opposite, okay, of direction I. So how do I do that? Return model.turn, and then direction I, and then this is the number of counterclockwise turns, right? So this will be, so second, I got this right as the pandemic started, like the day they announced that we were going virtual, and it's been very well used. It's a Wacom tablet, primarily used by artists and the like for drawing. I got a cheap model, which is not that great for drawing. What it is great for is putting stuff on whiteboards. I'm just busy digging around and plugging in the appropriate things into the appropriate sockets because I am super organized. That's me.
No.
All right, so here we go. I mean, I do keep it. It's just, here we go. Who can see? So let's go with a nice kind of purple color. So here is, and let's go ahead and do a nice, a bit of a bigger line width. So here is our rabbit, right? And the idea here is that if we're looking, and this is direction I, then we need, then that number is the number of 45-degree turns that we're making, which is, so this would be 1. So 1, 2, 3, messed up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Make sense? Does everybody have any questions about how model.turn works still? And of course,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So we're just then with this, we're just going the opposite way from the fox. Yes.
Yeah, it is not a very smart survival strategy, but it
Okay.
but it gives us a very good bait. But it gives us what we need, which is the basis for getting some kind of control done. We can run the grader and we can see, in fact, that it did not. It improved our survival rate by, well, it's better than nothing, which wasn't hard to begin with. But if we run rabbit hunt, we'll see the reason that this survival strategy was a bit lacking. Okay, for pretty obvious reasons, which is you know, so here we go. Oh, I see him. Run away, run away, run away, run away, run away. Wait, no, there's a wall. No, stop. Oh, too bad. And that's what happens, basically. He ran splat into a wall. Now, let's try a different survival strategy. Part of the issue with running away is that I'm still in the line of sight of that fox, right? Makes sense to everybody? I'm still in this fox's line of sight here, right? If the fox is here, I'm still in that guy's line of sight if I run directly away, right? So instead, what I'm going to try to do is, rather than doing 4, I'll do 5. I'll move back into the left, or actually I'll go ahead and do perpendicular. Which one we do for this doesn't really matter. I'll try 6. Okay, and let me clean up a bit. I really do like the ability to draw on my screen. It is pretty convenient. Okay, so here I'm going to dodge to the left. If I see the fox, I'm going to dodge relative to the left. And that even works basically if I'm seeing, if say the fox is, if the fox is like over here, then what does dodging to the left look like? It means this way, right? Where I'm going to get this kind of 90-degree turn over here. Okay, so I'm just going in a direction perpendicular. So now if I go ahead and run this, we can actually see some interesting behavior now. So here we go. And nope, still died. Let's reset and run. Died there. Survived for a bit though. So what's happening here? I'm dying because I'm hitting a wall and I can't retreat anymore. Or I'm getting stuck in bushes. You can't pass through bushes. Nope, not doing too hot here. But this looks like we might be successful. The rabbit escaped that one. Now, what happened? Why did he never see him, even though he had clear line of sight at times? Well, remember, the entire thing, I'm hitting the replay button here. Remember, the entire thing about this is that this is asynchronous. So notice that he doesn't see him yet. Now he could see him, but now, right? So let's run through that again. They're not in line of sight of each other, as ridiculous as that seems here. So notice what happened there. He looked and then he moved, right? Because you always look and then you move. So he saw the fox and he immediately moved out of line of sight. So now fox's turn. He looks around, doesn't see him, and he moves. So how effective is this strategy? Let's go ahead and run it. Run the grader. The rabbit survives 83 times out of 300, or 27 times. Also, the results aren't necessarily symmetric, right? Rather than going 6, let's try and do, and again, let me clean up a bit. Rather than going 6, I'm going to go and try 2. Make sense? So I'm going to go try going in a different way. Now run the grader, rather than making a sit through here. And we got a 10% survival rate rather than the 27% we were getting earlier. It's a bit variable too. Even though it's the same, even though it's like a reflexive direction. And this is because I suspect it's because the fox has a bias in which direction he starts pacing. But the order in which you try directions does matter. Okay, but now we're into array. So how can we get this? How can we actually, turn this into a winning strategy is the question. Well, we've got one more trick up our sleeves, which is the can move function. We can ask if I can move in a direction, so notice I threw that direction in. If I can move in this direction, I do so. Now, why does this matter? Well, because remember, what is the reason this strategy is failing currently? Because I keep hitting a wall like a really dumb, scared animal. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bind those two moves. So if I can move left, if I can dodge to the left, I dodge to the left. If I can dodge to the right, otherwise, I'm just going to dodge to the right, not going to bother asking at this point, just for the sake of demonstration. But in your solution, you'll want to try like the different directions to do this. And suddenly, by combining both, okay, if I can go left, if I can go right, that works. So hopefully you see the beginnings of a strategy, because using this basic block without having any memory, you can get anywhere between an 80 to 90% survival rate. Getting above a 90% survival rate will require you to have variables, or do something along the lines of looking around and seeing, hey, wait a second, am I too close to a wall? And only doing that if you don't see the fox. But most of the time, you can get a very good survival rate with just these methods. Any questions before I let you loose on this? Let me share my screen one more time so you can see what was going on there again. Any questions? Because I realized I did that classic professor's move of write the answer write the math answer on the board and then immediately erase it before everybody has time to write it down in their notes. All right, if no one has questions, then teaching, destruct. Here is the current schedule I have. And I adjusted, I think, almost all the times to make sure that they are in, that they will be, whatchamacallit? Sorry, that they're going to be in your local time as opposed to my time. And I did that by moving my time to Tokyo time temporarily on Canvas. So my idea here is that you should be able to finish Fox and Rabbit today. And then I'll go over the content for array list on Friday. And so I've plugged in the times for these. However, it's subject to change. I might push some due dates back depending on it. Now, I want to make sure I'm correct. For June 23rd, that is a national holiday, which means we don't hold, correct?
So yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, so that means no class? I just saw it listed on the calendar under undergraduate holidays, so I wanted to make sure it was that day and Marine Day. All right.
Professor,
Yes.
I think the sports day is the July 23rd.
Let me see. Temple academic calendar. I am totally it's totally possible because that I messed this up. Look at me being silly like that. Thank you. And I even went and got the kanji and everything. Just goes to show that all right. So I would like you to take a moment to remember this moment, because note that I am not infallible. The main difference between me being able to spot all your mistakes when you're going to be coding is the fact that I've made those mistakes more than you have. And so I've been able to correct them a lot. Not only have I made those mistakes more than you, but I've seen your fellow students make those same mistakes a lot too. So just remember that we're all human when you get frustrated. All right. So let me stop sharing my screen.